to be here in the UK?
Feels awesome. Yeah, this is something I've wanted to do for a super long time. You were saying like a lot of our big influences as bands come from the UK, and it's something I've been really, really looking forward to. So beyond excited.
Yeah, this is a first time for us, first time audiences, we'd presume. I don't know if anyone's traveled that has seen us before. Maybe from Roadburn. I mean, we've been to Roadburn, so it's always exciting to play to totally fresh audiences.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was wondering, is there any particular cultural sites you were hoping to visit if you did get the time? I'm thinking like Joy Division, for example. I've never been, even though I live near the place. Macclesfield, like a cemetery, and places like that. Is there anywhere in particular?
Yeah, I can answer. So we flew in a day early. I haven't, Dan, you've been to London before. I'm a country boy that's poorly traveled, but my sister has been all around the world. And yeah, I don't know, we had been talking about like, what am I going to do with a day in London? Are there things? I looked at birds in Kensington Garden with my friend, caught up with, a friend I hadn't seen for 15 years. So,
yeah, there are so many like historical. Historical sounds shitty, but it's like musical places in Manchester specifically that like, anything related to Joy Division is like a huge deal to us. And I don't know, man, I don't think we're going to have any time, which is kind of like, I'm trying not to think about it because it's like, I'm mostly going to see the inside of a van. But it's particularly Manchester is like, there's so much musical roots in Manchester that were important for us that, yeah, it's pretty sick to be here.
Yeah. No,
I wouldn't know where to look to if I walk around and yell stone roses.
Yeah.
Where are you? How do I sense?
Yeah.
What was formative to me?
You'd be surprised, like in terms of just going around Manchester city centre, it's all around like the Hacienda is just a random, it's been gentrified into an apartment block now, but it's just sort of all around, you know what I mean? I guess that's the cool thing with Manchester, with modern and also its history in the past. One of you guys is a history teacher, or used to be? Are you still?
Yeah, I mostly teach English literature now, but...
I was going to ask you, what have you guys been reading recently?
I've been reading Anne of Green Gables in the van that I am reconnecting with. It's like young adult literature from years ago, but I don't know, it's just re-exploring something that my sister used to read those books, when we were kids, and I had read them, but I was just thinking about how a colleague had told me if I was a literary figure that I would be Anne of Green Gables, so I'm reading the delightful story of a young orphan who has been adopted into a countryside Canadian family, exploring what that colleague meant. But I get it totally, that I'm over-dramatic. Everything is the end of the world. I walk into every room and make my thoughts everyone else's thoughts oppressively. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I just finished rereading Rites of Spring by Modris Eksteins, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and that's like a cultural history of the sort of pre, during, and post Great War, so the First World War. It is an absolute roller coaster of a book. It's amazing, and there's so many sort of figures that, like, at least I didn't have a whole lot of knowledge about the First World War going into it, and there are so many figures that sort of preview modernism and postmodernism and sort of figures that you end up connecting to as an artist. It's a fantastic read.
Did we have to read that in the same seminar at university?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I've had it for a long time.
I should reread.
This is like my fifth reread of it. Yeah.
So you guys are literature graduates as well? Is that right?
I have a graduate degree. Yeah.
Okay.
I do too.
Oh yeah, you do.
I have a master's degree. Fuck you, Tim.
So do I as well, so we're all joined.
Look at that. We did it.
Okay, so this is definitely recording. I got worried for a second that it is.
I know, I always like paranoid.
Yeah. Okay, just bear with me a second. Okay, so in terms of like the set that you guys are going with today for a festival like this, I mean, in terms of you guys' sound, it's quite claustrophobic. I would maybe describe it as headphone music rather than music to be played at a festival.
I think that's fair.
However, obviously you're here. So how do you sort of adjust your set and your sound for an event like this?
I mean, the headphone music of the albums as originally recorded for years that's been rearranged to maximize live instrumentation. There's a little bit of what's going on. Rich works with a sampler behind the drum kits or drum loops sometimes, but I mean, the way we bring that headphone music to, whether it's a venue as big as this or some of the smaller club venues that we've done, it's the old joke that Jonathan from the FLENSER has is Have a Nice Life is secretly a hardcore band that only they think they're a hardcore band. No one else knows it, but they're going to perform like that. So I don't know if that necessarily tracks, but I think that is what instinctivly, the way we try to achieve the headphone music catharsis through the way we perform, it's through that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think we both, growing up playing in bands and stuff, we were in music scenes that prioritized or valued sort of intense live performances. And so we just kind of brought that with us. I think we always, or not always, but we very early decided we're not going to try to play things that sound like the record. We're going to try to sound live like you remember the record sound, right? So we're trying to hit the same emotional weight. You have to do that in a different way when you're live. And so, yeah, we're a hardcore band covering Have a Nice Life songs, basically, is how it works out. And it's a lot, I love it. I kind of, playing it live, I'm like, oh, I wish the record sounded like this, but then I think it wouldn't work. They're two very separate beasts.
Years ago we tried doing things with more fidelity, with track stems playing from the laptop while we did some different, and I don't know, having a drummer who has facility with sequencers to be, also the person turning off, this isn't working, let's make another choice, that it feels more human and raw and live to do it that way, and also just more natural based on where we came from rather than trying to do things as exactly to the way it sounds, which would probably necessitate doing a lot of background track stem stuff. It just didn't feel like it was for us.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so the editor of the magazine I'm writing for was at Outbreak in London yesterday, and he caught you guys' set, and he said, he's like a classic sort of he's been around, he's into goth music, all that sort of stuff, industrial. He said it was top 10 sets he's ever been to.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's awesome.
In terms of the reception that you guys have, even downstairs, so many people wearing the Death Consciousness shirt.
Wow.
How does that feel? Does it still feel weird now? Especially when it's young people, people even younger than myself, you know what I mean? In their teens. How does that feel?
It's, I think it feels weird to us because we very much assumed that no one would ever like the band. We really were we're almost we were almost confrontational about the fact that we're I know you're not going to like this, we're going to make you listen to it. But as we get older and as people connect more and more with the music, it becomes like when you said that, I got kind of emotional because it means so much to me, or to both of us, but it means so much to us, and this thing we put so much passion into, we put so much energy, we put so much ourselves into, to have people recognize that and connect with it now is a huge deal to us. And I mostly just want to go give everyone a hug. I've become, as we've gotten older and I have kids and stuff, the younger audience is more like my kids than they are like me at this point, right? Yeah. And so for me, it's I have so much empathy with them, and it just hits me. It hits me every time. It never stops. It's never gotten to the point where I'm I get it. You know what I mean? That. Yeah. I've never had that reaction.
Yeah, we're the shit.
It's always just
the old trope just is that we always say this has been great, and we leave the UK and Have a Nice Life's time is officially over, or our candle burns out or something, and it's been going that way for years, for 10 years, or even back to the release of Death Conscious, this is cool, some bloggers were interested in it, all right, well, that's probably over, but it keeps gaining a second life or a foothold in So yeah, we're very grateful for that. It's never anything short of surprising. It's self-affirming, especially for, I don't know, either of us, that could either be very self-critical or, you know, be legitimately, I don't know, have legitimate distorted thinking about the impact of what we have on the world, I guess.
Yeah. No, those are really interesting answers. I guess that brings me to, in terms of like you guys' sound and I guess sort of what you mastered in originally in terms of like that DIY sort of bedroom sound. I mean, you were sort of trailblazers in that. I think even if you look at a lot of the artists that are here today, for example, downstairs is Jane Remover.
Yeah.
They started off as quite sort of like bedroom hyperpop sort of thing, but they've become increasingly distorted. Using the same sort of tools, it still sounds like it's made through, you know what I mean? In terms of the instruments, it doesn't feel very hi-fi, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, do you guys feel that way in terms of like seeing some of the acts whilst you've been out on the road, especially like feeling your influence in terms of you guys' sound and what you guys have achieved in your music itself in terms of how it's come about, how it's been produced, all of that?
That's interesting. I typically, I don't usually feel like, oh, you're influenced by us. Again, because I sort of forget that anybody listens to our band, you know, and then every time we come out here, I'm reminded. But I more feel like, sort of like what you pointed to, and I'm curious what you think. It's more like we are all influenced by the tools we have access to, right? Like there's in every sort of musical genre that sort of comes around, there's a certain style that emerges sort of from the constraints of the tools that you have. And so I think the sort of lo-fi kind of highly compressed, you know, internet MP3 kind of show, I think that would have been there with, I mean, I don't think that's because of us. I think we emerged from those same kind of
factors. Probably was happening, we were just ignorant while we were making it.
Yeah.
You know, giving our big manifesto of, you know, the tools of music production have been democratized, and like it already had, and there were people before us that, you know,
exactly,
lo-fi existed. But yeah, it's an interesting question. Do you see the influence? I think of the shows we just did with Crippling Alcoholism, in Amherst, that you know, that like they directly told us, you are a major influence on us, and I listen, I'm like, this is like a cool weird take on like Tom Waits and Typo Negative, and like I wish, like I'll take the, you know, I will appreciatively take the praise you are giving us as an influence, but you're kind of doing something that's like even cooler than anything I thought I was doing at the time.
Or even like we were talking about Burial. Burial's another band where it's like Burial's not going to be the same project if they're not in that particular window of time where you have a particular type of, you know, they're using Fruity Loops or whatever. They're like editing sound files manually.
Is it planning for Burial?
No, Burial.
Burial.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that record was like a big influence on me.
Yeah, I think the software is Forge. It's like a very specific thing that makes the sound.
Yeah, so it just, I don't know, that's a really interesting question. I think we're all kind of emerging from similar places. I think we were very early in a lot of that, but I whenever somebody says that they're influenced by us, it makes me incredibly grateful and happy, and I think that's amazing. But I also think that a lot of the stuff that we tapped into, that was already there, right?
Okay, it's a very humble.
Or I'm a genius, and you know, I take full credit for production.
I mean, in terms of like, you were talking about younger artists and younger people, and I guess your kids as well. And I was wondering, like, because of how, I guess, fucked up the music economy is, as with every other economy at this point, if you were to start the band at this moment in time, in 2025, what do you think would be the greatest challenge for you guys? Compared to, I mean, it was just before, Deaf Consciousness was like before the financial crash, I believe.
Yeah, 2008 or so,
So we're incredibly lucky that, well, at least for now, that, I don't know, like we have our lives, you know, with families and careers and things like, you know, that's well known, and we don't, quote unquote, have to try that hard when it comes to getting our music out for exposure, because, you know, like the algorithm has hit it, or, you know, the FLENSER distributes things, and you know, makes it known widely. I think that when we were just starting, I mean, you were way more social media savvy and internet savvy, and had the galaxy brain to throttle the music somehow, or say like, these are the blogs we're going to send it to, and these are the not necessarily tastemakers that everyone's listening to that I think are cool. But I think in 2025 a major challenge, probably because everything is on blast, full blast all the time, that cutting through that to get noticed, I wonder if it would happen the same way if we were just starting now. Whereas, the Dan Barrett social media hustle of when Twitter was new, and that was a brave new world.
I think the single biggest problem is, or challenge, right? Like, so the challenge is you can't just be a band. You have to also build out a relationship with everybody individually. You have to be doing social media. You have to be thinking about video. You have to be thinking about so many. So you have an additional job on top of, hey, you have to make art that anybody cares about. And I think that's very difficult. And yet we did some of that in the beginning, but we mostly lucked out, right? Like, it mostly just kind of happened without us. And so it's very hard to reproduce. And I think to some extent, you have to be okay with the fact that if you don't get a lot of recognition on your music, it doesn't mean your music isn't good, right? Just like it doesn't mean that
there's an ocean of things in the world right now that are also cool. Like, make your shit, like, create. There should be an ocean of stuff, because creating is the self-actualizing act. But as far as the accessing an audience or getting throttled by the right algorithm or things like that, it's kind of mind-boggling to, which again goes back to how humbled we are, who quote-unquote don't have to try with some of that, or at least it got hooked in.
I mean, I was just talking to Lauren about this, I don't use TikTok. I don't particularly like it in terms of like condensing music into sound bites. But it's weird because like the most random like shit goes viral on there. Like some like really obscure and like I guess like not very accessible music. I mean, I know that you guys have had some success with TikTok. I believe. Yeah. And it's like
ponderous 8-minute ambient instrumental that starts the album is the hit of the century. I don't know.
Yeah.
I literally don't know.
Yeah. No, it's what I mean. It's like, it's terrible and it's also great at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just the most like immediate and most like sugar-coated stuff that's going out there. Like, even in terms of Aphex Twin, like, I think the only thing that he's had that's gone like viral is, I don't know, it just sounds like,
or in a previous one I was talking about Devo's Puppet Boy. Like, I don't know, like Devo for me, like an all-time all-time, oh my god, but like a Z-list song from one of their, like, I don't know, like that's out there on TikTok, or the stream numbers are crazy, and like good and cool, and I think the whole catalog of Devo should be explored, but like that's a really weird pinhole for the algorithm to catch on to and skyrocket into the millions of new streams.
Really, like Alex G. Like, I heard Alex G on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, that's it's just kind of how it happens. It's very strange. But
it's, like, we didn't grow up consuming music that way at all, remotely. So
and
stumped.
Yeah, I had a good question lined up, but now I forgot it. Give me a question. Give me a minute.
Yeah, all right.
It was in relation to the algorithms, but no. It wasn't a good question. It was a question that would probably annoy you guys. I mean, if you were to go, but no, it doesn't even make sense actually. Like, do you think that back in the day when you guys were making Deaf Consciousness, if you had the sort of tools that are around now, particularly in terms of a certain thing called AI, do you think, like, wholeheartedly you would maybe be tempted at all into using it? Like, what do you...
For, like, music creation?
I know it's the question that everybody asks at this point, but, like, what are you guys' thoughts on AI? Do you, like... Yeah.
I'm regressive, anti-futurist. I mean, I teach kids writing. Like I'm a writing teacher, and I don't know. Like I'm having an existential crisis over what that means for my job, because I do teaching my students who are cognitively not that yet developing a relationship with language that is designed to be human. I'm struggling. Like I've heard all the enlightened takes about how I should be using it in the classroom and they're gonna have to use it for jobs, but for me, it's just like it's not the human element. So I mean, there might be an interesting hypocrisy in that, like, well, how is AI that different from like using a sequencer or something, where if you give it the right prompt, it's going to do something on repeat, or a sampler or something like that. But maybe for whatever irrational reasons, I don't know if it was now or Dan, you had come to me and said, like, we're going to make like these nihilistic songs with AI tools, I'd probably say, fuck you, Dan. I don't like, that's just where my heart is right now, and I'm willing to hear the counter arguments and the takedowns for how regressive that is, but that's just where I am with it at this moment.
I mean, I use AI for my work all the time, but I have never once cared what AI has to say about anything. You know what I mean? It's like AI as a tool for automating tedious shit is great, right? It's great for like, give me a summary of this if you need a summary of that. But like AI art in particular, because AI has no internal experience that we know of.
That we know.
And I will be clear, right? I don't know.
And I'd be pumped to learn that it does in a way.
Right. I mean, there are people that argue, right, like the sort of current, like ChatGPT 03, like Tyler Cohen, for example, well-known economist that blogs. He thinks ChatGPT 03, which is currently available, right, to the consumer, is like literally a general intelligence, as in it has everything that you need to classify it as like a sentient being, right? Whether that's the case or not, I don't fucking know. Yeah. But what I do know is, like, because it doesn't have an internal state that it can communicate to me, as far as I know, I don't care what it has to say. And I feel the same way about music, right? It's like you can produce music algorithmically right now, but I don't, and it sounds nice, but I don't care. Right? Like, the thing I care about is, like, what are you communicating about your internal experience that sheds light on my internal experience? And if we get to the point where AI is a sentient being, where it's like, hey, by the way, it fucking sucks, I'm trapped in a box, it fucking blows, like, I would listen to that, but I don't need that to express my own internal state, so
yeah, it's like I tell my students, I said, like, I would rather have your shitty, awkwardly phrased essays that you had to grind through and know that you were, and not just for my own sake, but to grapple with the problem of language in communicating, that just like clicking yes I agree to all of the AI prompted or Grammarly suggestions that you don't necessarily have to think about, like, that's the more validating part of existence. And and I mean, these are 16 to 17. What do you mean existential problem with language and communicating the self, right? But I don't know, that's just where I'm at with it.
No, I feel that. I mean, even in terms of myself, in terms of writing, I feel like I can be quite a clunky writer at times, but it's like, would I rather try to persevere and, try to sharpen it up as much as possible on my own terms, or would I rather send it through a fucking...
The things that make you different are the things that make you interesting.
Yeah.
So if you homogenize, you take a lot of that away.
Indeed.
And there's ways to... Look, I will hold out hope. There are ways to use all these tools in interesting ways. People will come, there are people being born now that are going to live in a world with these tools that have always existed. They're going to break them in interesting ways, the same way that people like sort of circuit bend kids' toys, right?
Yeah, I got to get there as a teacher. Like, I understand the recalcitrance. I'm not using the right word there.
I know what
but okay.
Recalcitrance
of my stance that I might as well be like a person from 1910 who's scared of the radio. But so it is. All right.
But
I totally derailed that.
Yeah, but in any case, I think I keep meaning to. I do think it's funny for us to write and record a record and just to tell everyone it was entirely made with AI and see what happens, but we'll probably never do.
Yeah.
That's my trollish teenage self coming out.
Now everyone knows.
You guys, will get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
Trust me. Okay, so nearly done with questions. I'm conscious of the fact that you guys will be on in not too long, so in terms of your set. Okay, so yeah, is there any particular bands you guys are excited to see last year here?
Excited to see Slowdive after our set. I mean, we'll have to schlep our gear off stage real quickly to hustle over there. But.
And we saw Sunny Day Real Estate last night. They were fucking amazing. That was an incredible experience. So I'd love to see that again. But yeah, Slowdive is a huge one for us.
Cool. And in terms of what is next for you guys, project-wise, is there stuff on the horizon, perhaps?
We have a big Dropbox full of files, many of which are incompleted, and things will be completed in due time when they're meant to be.
Yeah, we're always working on new stuff. I think it's been slower now, probably, but we do. I mean, we want to write new music. We want to make new stuff, and we will eventually, for sure.
This is a part of the artistic endeavor, doing these performances too. Like, let us not lose sight of that too. I guess it's the way we're not playing just to play. That the selectiveness and attention we hope we're putting into reinterpreting the material in a live setting. That's not the same as an album that might just stand and be infinitely accessible. But that's a part of the time project too right now. But yes, the most I can say is they're a Dropbox full of stuff that is labeled "Have a Nice Life," and I hope you get to hear it someday.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, all the best with you guys' set. It's been really lovely talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time as well.